Welcome everybody to our May 11th or May 12th, 2020 re-recording of our May 4th webinar about virtual organizing and Zoom meeting facilitation tips, and also more technical help regarding Zoom platform, which is being very widely used in this age of social distancing and coronavirus. So thank you for tuning in, and my name is Shelly Williams. I'm the operations coordinator with Move to Amend, and I'm in Sacramento, California, and I'm going to pass it over to Millie.
Hi y'all, welcome. My name is Millie Harmon. I am the outreach coordinator for Move to Amend. Thank you for joining us. And Shelly is going to share her screen. We have a few slides. Well, welcome. As Shelly mentioned, we will be covering virtual organizing tonight, some general tips about meeting facilitation, and some basic maneuvers around Zoom. You should be hearing our audio by now. You can also call in and enter that webinar ID. If you have any questions, let us know, and this will be posted as a recording on our website. So our agenda for today is we're going to do a quick overview of Move to Amend, our mission, goals, and strategy. Then we're going to move into some general virtual meeting facilitation tips, that this can be used whatever platform you may be using, a conference call, Skype, what have you. Then we're going to take you into Zoom and cover the very basics, getting in, joining a meeting, and how to work your way around the screen. And then move into some more advanced Zoom facilitation tips. This is if you're going to be running your own meeting, a little guidance there from our end. And then we're going to open the space up for Q&A, and then please write us if you have any questions, of course, or give us a call. So, Move to Amend. We are a nonpartisan coalition of hundreds of organizations and hundreds of thousands of individuals committed to social and economic justice, ending corporate rule, and building a vibrant democracy that is genuinely accountable to people, not corporate interests. So we have three-pronged goal here. I think you're probably familiar with our We the People Amendment. This is what we have introduced into Congress. This is as HJR 48. We currently have 73 co-sponsors. And this amendment makes clear that artificial entities do not have constitutional rights, and that money is not a form of free speech. But our work really dives deeper than that. To provoke discussion and organizing about how to make real the promise of democracy through constitutional renewal. We are a completely grassroots organization, building a movement on the ground powerful enough to force Congress and the states to take action. Excuse me. So to go over our principles and values. 1, anti-oppression and solidarity organizing. This helps us develop relationships with those on the front lines of struggle against the impacts of corporate rule, including communities of color, are essential and immediate allies in the work ahead. Only through the talents, experience, and wisdom of all people is mutual governance and a system rooted in justice really possible. 2, coalition and movement building. This is integral to connecting the numerous issue communities to the legal roadblock blocks of corporate constitutional rights and money as protected political speech. The power of a movement rests on the common ground, the shared vision and strategies among its participant members and groups. That ground is a result of focused listening, learning, talking, and evaluating together. 3, grassroots organizing. It's the key to building capacity. Personal relationships are still the best way to spread our message and find support through the arts and skills of local democratic organizing to allow deep change to really take root. 4, dedication to political education. This is ongoing and a necessary process to absorb the lessons of history and the successes or failures of past movements to move forward with intentionality and to make real the promise of democracy for everyone. 5, political and economic independence. This allows us to go forth unencumbered by partisan politics or the quid pro quo associated with corporate or wealthy funders. This is essential to attaining and sustaining government of, by, and for the people. And with this, I will sort of add in that we are funded by individuals. And we don't receive any large money from foundations. It's really from individual people giving a few bucks every month. And that allows us to go to do our work without anybody dictating how we do it. Our coalition structure. So we have a national board. This is our leadership team. These board members come from all different movements, have a vast array of experience, which we, constantly look to expand and, bring leadership up into. We also have a national staff and interns, very bare bones. There's about 8 of us and a handful of interns every cycle that, really is able to assist the grassroots organizing of hundreds of thousands of volunteers across the country. We have local advocates and affiliate groups. Our affiliate groups are like chapters. They're the local bodies that organize and plan campaigns according to the needs of, the individual communities that they're in. We also have a new position called advocates. This is when there's not enough capacity quite to have a full working group, but affiliate group that is. But this is an individual interested in representing Move to Amend to other groups and within their community and town. We also have amendment working groups. These are not full-fledged affiliate groups. Their specific purpose is to pass the people resolution locally all the way through the state level. 5, we're a coalition. We have partners. We do a lot of joint campaigns with other organizations. We try our best to create projects where we can put all the pieces together for folks. Corporate rule is not an isolated issue. This is, the root behind many, many, many of the issues that we're trying to overcome. And so really getting together and joining forces with these folks on multiple faces of the democracy movement is crucial. And also individual supporters, volunteers, people spreading the petition signers, donors. You all have an incredible role within passing this amendment. How to get involved? I encourage you to check out our website, www.movetoamend.org. We have a brand new website. It is now mobile friendly. And you can really sort of dig into the sort of things we've got going on right now. A quick overview of some things you can take away tonight. Sign the petition, share it with your friends. Donate, share it with your friends. sign our volunteer form. And then I encourage you to go back to our website and really dig into some more actions, campaigns, and trainings. We offer a monthly Take Action webinar, such as this, and you can find that on our website, movetoamend.org/webinars. Okay, so we're going to move into some general tips of how to facilitate a meeting. These can be applied in person, over the phone, video conferencing, what have you. One, have your designated roles assigned ahead of time. So who's facilitating? Who's taking notes? Who's monitoring the chat? Maybe you want to have somebody taking stack, sort of seeing who's in line to talk next. These are all, you want it to be worked out, otherwise that can take a big chunk out of your meeting right at the get-go. 2, send out an agenda ahead of time. It is unbelievably hard to work with an agenda that gets sent out right before a meeting, or that you don't have any time to look over ahead of time. I think the most effective meetings are ones that everybody's explored the agenda ahead of time and were able to offer any additions or edits before they got into a space together. And I will add this, please, 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 in your agenda and reminder emails prior to the meeting, always instruct new participants to download Zoom. This is not just a website that you can go to stream these meetings or webinars. They actually have to download a program. It's not very big. It's relatively easy to do. And so just make sure people are aware so they don't come into a meeting or unable to come into a meeting because they don't have the program. 3, use a stack process. So to prevent everybody from chiming in and talking over each other, it's a really valuable way to sort of keep track of who wanted to speak without having to interrupt a speaker or lose track of your thought as you're waiting to get in line. So what you do is all you say is your name and then stack. So I would say Millie stack. And in between each action item, you would open the stack up. And at that point, either for the facilitator or someone specifically designated to keep track of the stack would sort of keep a running list of those folks wanting to talk or give feedback. 4, use a go-round. As we know, some people will, if you let them, completely monopolize a space. Some people will never talk unless they are invited into a space. And so allow people to speak and pass. So you can kind of give everybody the opportunity without putting them on the spot. Of course, don't make everyone speak. Allow them to pass if they need to. But again, opening the space up is important for everyone. Okay, 5. Do check-ins. So this is something for more personal, smaller meetings. And I think right now it's really important because we don't actually have that much opportunity to just check in and say, how are you? We're all sort of isolated in our own worlds. And so we like to do at Move to Amend a check-in at the beginning. This allows us to briefly sort of say where we're at that day. You know, maybe I didn't get any sleep. My toddler was up all night. You know, my nerves are a little shot. I might not have the same responses that I usually do. And that's preparing everybody else on my team to expect that and allowing space for that. And, you know, I think it's a really beautiful thing we brought into our circle and made us a lot closer. Allowing ourselves to be human is important. Again, it takes time, so in a huge meeting, you wouldn't want to do that. All right, with that, I am going to turn it over to the wonderful Shelley to take us through some of our Zoom basics.
Okay, so now we're into the nuts and bolts of Zoom. And what we're looking at right now is our move to amend screen once you've signed in. We won't walk you through signing in. That's pretty straightforward when you go to zoom.com once you have an account. This is a paid account. And so it has a few more features. So we'll go through this, but I will explain the difference between a non-paid account and a paid account to the best of my ability, so you can know what's different if you're not using a paid account. And so the main thing you want to do, so right over on this side you'll see profile, and that's what this is. Meetings, which is what we're talking about. Webinars, which is a completely different thing. Webinars, which if you've been on Move to Amend webinars, you might know the format. It's more of a presentation style, as though, there's presenters, panelists, and an audience. Whereas meetings is when you're going to be meeting with your local group or with your community members, and it's more of a sharing among everybody vibe. So we're talking about meetings today, and scheduling a meeting is going to be the thing that you would do the most. So we're going to do that. Schedule a meeting. And so here is where you would name your meeting. So we can call it St. Paul monthly meeting. You can put a description if you want to. It's not required. You can use a template, I guess. We don't use that. And here's where you would set the time. So we're going to set it for next Wednesday at 5 p.m. and this is going to be set to whatever time zone you're in. So this is 5 p.m. Pacific. But if you sent the invitation to somebody on the East Coast, it should, and then you can set that here. Duration, 1 hour is usually a good meeting time, but you can change that by 15-minute increments and hour increments. And then here you can set if it's a recurring meeting. This is going to be useful if you have monthly meetings that are on the, third Thursday of every month, or on the first of every month, which people don't really do that so often. It's usually done by the day of the week. So the way you would do that is recurrence monthly, repeat every 1 month, occurs on, here you can pick which day of the month, but what's most often used is this, where you would choose the first, second, third, fourth, or last day of the week. And then here you can set the duration of how many occurrences these recurring meetings are set for. So that means everyone who RSVPs is going to be notified of each future meeting. So it's a good feature to use if you are having recurring meetings. Registration, here is where you can require that people register. This is going to be more for things where you're inviting people from the public or people you don't know so well and you want to capture their information or see who's coming. It's not going to be so important if you're, just meeting with your local group. You can also require a password. This is going to be useful if you wanted to put added security, and I'm going to talk about this throughout this training, that there is an issue with what we call Zoom bombs, and these are often targeted at publicly advertised meetings, whether it's, on a campus, college stuff, or organizing. And so when these trolls learn that there's a meeting or some kind of classroom setting, they will come in and spam the group either in the chat or by using their video broadcasting capabilities or just their, audio. There's a number of ways that they can infiltrate your meeting and disrupt it. And some of these disruptions are extremely disturbing, extremely upsetting. And so having experienced that, some of us here at Move to Amend, we just really, really, really want to make sure people are aware, and we'll teach you some skills on how to respond to a situation like that in the moment effectively. So a password might be good if it is going to be, a more open or public invitation meeting. Here you can choose to have the video on or off for hosts and participants. So turning off video for participants, again, if you want to put an extra layer of security on it, but in most cases, you're really going to want that face-to-face. Audio, telephone, computer audio, don't really need to mess with that. And then your meeting options. So enable join before host. If you're the host, clicking this means other people can come into the room before you've gotten there, before you've arrived. So if it's your monthly meeting of people you know really well, you would want to enable that, because there's no reason to, gatekeep when people are coming into the room when it's your familiar group. But if it's, again, a larger or more public thing, you would want to enable that or disable that so that you can control when people come in. And the waiting room, both of these function similarly in that if maybe you're a smaller steering committee, or your local group is doing some kind of larger community meeting, and you wanted to have a preparation meeting before the other people arrived, you can set these up to where folks are waiting in a waiting room, or they can't get in until you've opened those doors. And so there are times when those features are useful. And muting participants upon entry, this is another safeguard against these trolls that are disrupting meetings. So then you would save it, and now you have your meeting. So you have your name, you can add it to your calendars, and then here's the link and your invitation. So the link here is what you would want to send to folks that you're inviting, and then copying this invitation. This is what you would get with a paid account, is this really detailed invitation that you can send to people. And see, this is recurring, so it'll show you all the future meetings that you selected. You can download this to add it to your iCalendar. And then this is the link right here to join it. And then there are also these telephone numbers. Again, only a feature with the paid accounts. But this is what that looks like, an invitation with a paid account. So that is that. And what I'm going to do is minimize this and come back into and this is our, we're in a Zoom meeting right now, so I'm going to walk you through some of these features so that you can have familiarity with them if you plan to be hosting meetings with your group. So here you have your mute button, and actually let me exit full screen because I want to be able to see, let's see, the chat. Gallery view. Okay. So yeah, so first of all, you've got these two views. You can do speaker view. So whoever is currently speaking is showing. It's not like that here because we're doing a little technological finagling, and I'm being recorded elsewhere right now. So it turns out it's very hard to record a webinar when you're actually doing a meeting in Zoom. So we had to do a lot of things here. So bear with us, but we are going to make this work, and we're doing it. So gallery view, and so if you've got like 9 people, then this is where you're going to have that kind of Brady Bunch looking screen. So you can mute yourself here, and that shows up here on your own. You can also mute and unmute yourself up here. And this little arrow button when you're a host, oh, I'm muted now. This little arrow button here when you're a host Click it up here, and this is where you can do troubleshooting with your microphone if you're having any issues. But usually if I'm having issues with my audio, it's just because I need to restart my computer. So I've never really had to do anything with this. Video, so you can stop your video and you can start it again. And you can choose a virtual background here. So, you know, you've seen people with these. Oh, my computer does not meet the requirements, so I never do these. So clearly I need an upgrade. But that's where you can do those virtual backgrounds. And I think you can like get them elsewhere too, like custom ones, and add them here. So invite. This is where you can choose people who are already in your Zoom network, or you can go to email and send an email to invite people to a meeting. That's if you're having a meeting in the moment generally and you want to invite somebody or remind them. Maybe they've already been invited, but you want to just send them a nudge and say, hey, we're in here. And here's where you can copy the URL to your clipboard and paste it into your messenger or chats or whatever. And this is where you can copy the invitation email. Manage participants. So we don't have any, so we're both hosts in here, but this will show you what it will look like. You'll be able to see all of your participants, and you can rename, mute and unmute. It's actually, so the only thing that I'm not able to show you what it looks like, oh, I can. Thank you so much, Millie. So Millie is now, she has co-hosted herself, so I can show you what to do. So let's say that this person here, Millie, is not the co-host and she's not a staffer at Move to Amend. Millie is a terrible person who's coming to disrupt our organizing meeting and gonna spam it with some kind of terrible racist offensive stuff to upset everybody and throw off the entire vibe of the meeting. And let's say she does that. She might turn on her video and start showing something really offensive. She might unmute herself and start blaring offensive music or sounds, or she might come into the chat and start spamming it with offensive stuff. So those are kind of the ways that they do this. What you want to do, don't fight on muting and unmuting. Don't fight on, just go straight over here. Go to manage participants. Whoops. Find the person who's the offender. Go here and remove. Don't waste any seconds. Every second that these things happen are extremely upsetting. So especially if you're doing something in the community and you're trying to build relationships, just have that that reaction, just develop that impulse to immediately remove any disruptors. Polling, this is kind of fun, but really only useful, if you're going to be in some kind of larger setting, but you can do a straw poll to see how people feel about something. Sharing a screen. So this is if you want to show a video or show a slideshow, or just do like a tutorial on how to do something in a program. Anything that you're doing on your screen, you can share on here. And so this is how you do that. So click on share screen, and it will give you a few options. Desktop, but if you have a program running like QuickTime or something, it might give you another option to just show your QuickTime. But usually the desktop one. And then the whiteboard is also kind of cool because you can just broadcast a whiteboard into the meeting and, just like you're writing on a whiteboard. But this is where it might take a second to load here. It's trying. Oh, my poor computer. I'm doing too much. Okay, well, you get the idea. It's not going to do it for us right now, but that's how you do it, and it gives you the option to stop share. You can also annotate. Let me do this one more time just so I can show you that screen. So you can annotate onto your shared screen. But when you're done sharing, then you just click stop share. So here are controls for sharing. If you're the host of a meeting and you want to control what other people are allowed to share. So this is another safeguard against people doing inappropriate things in your meeting. But if you're in a space where the likelihood of that is low, it's your own private, affiliate group meeting or any other local group that you're in, you don't really necessarily have to take these kinds of precautions, but only one participant can share at a time, and you can also set it to where only the host, no participants can share their screen. Then you have your chat. So, hi, Millie. So that's going to everyone, that's public. So it might be rude to say just hi, Millie. You might want to be like, hi, everyone. Sometimes be like, Shelly from Sacramento, if you're in a larger meeting. But if I did want to say something to Millie, if I did want to remind her of something that maybe she didn't mention, or anything that I would want to privately message Millie about, I can do that. And you forgot that part. And so it shows that it goes directly to Millie. And just, be careful what you're private chatting, because these settings can kind of, you can kind of forget where you're at, and you might think you're responding privately to somebody and it's going to the full chat. So just be mindful of that. All right. Yeah, good place to introduce yourself. I'm going to click out of that. And then more, you can pause recording, stop recording, and you can do breakout rooms. So if you have a larger meeting and you want to go into breakout groups to have more concentrated discussions, or there's a lot of reasons to do breakout rooms. It's hard to show you without a lot of participants, but you can manually choose who's going in what room, or you can automatically just split everyone up into however many rooms. And then once you do that, it's pretty self-explanatory how to come back from that when you're ready to be done. And then finally, you can end. So we're recording right now, which is why it doesn't give us the option to record and stop recording down here, but normally that's where you would see that. And then end meeting. So I'm going to show you this because, Millie, can you come back on as a co-host? Or actually, no, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to do that. So for ending meeting, say you're the host and you want to end the meeting for everybody. The meeting is over. Then you would click end meeting for all, and that ends the meeting for everybody. But say you're the host of the meeting and there's a few people that have something that they need to discuss that doesn't need to involve everybody after the meeting, and they stay on after, then you don't want to end meeting for all, because then they can't stay there and do that. So then what you would do is leave meeting. So those are the two options there. And that pretty much takes care of that. So thank you so much for joining this training. We really, really appreciate the way that folks are rising up to this moment. And, in the age of coronavirus, figuring out how we can continue organizing in, what is actually the most critical time in potentially all of U.S. history, that we need to be together and rising up to this moment. So thank you for joining us. We hope you got something out of it. We hope this helps you to continue to organize effectively in your community. And like Millie says here, If you have questions, email us at affiliate-support@movetoamend.org. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and take care.